Hello and welcome to the Emperor's New podcast, where we explore every corner of the Emperor's New Groove franchise. And today we have a double crossover of sorts from Channel KRT. We have Kit Quinn,
aka Kuzco,
and Tyler Green.
Now on, whackity schmackity do. I don't know.
And from Escape from Walt Disney, we have Tony Goldmark.
Rhinoceros.
No! We agreed you were going to be spaghetti!
I respectfully refuse to explain why I just said rhinoceros.
Fair enough. Tony, it's
perfect.
been a while since we saw you. Last time we saw you, you got thrown out of the window by Fluffy in our Honey, I Shrunk the Kids episode.
That's right. Yeah. I'm actually still plummeting at the moment.
Last time I saw you, we were yelling at the unidentified flying oddballs, and they're...
Yeah, I see gravity reversed for me, so I became an unidentified flying oddball for a while, and then I flew back to Earth. But I'm still somewhere in midair at the moment, so just bear with me.
I'm an oddball that is identified but wants to be unidentified. So,
and I'm just an oddball.
We're all oddballs here.
I'm an odd ovary.
Yay!
I'm an odd rhombus.
Or you are an odd rhombus.
I'm an odd trapezoid. I'm a trapezoid. I'm trapping Zod in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 5 of The Emperor's New School. Picture
You're
this.
goddamn right we are.
TV or not TV.
So there was not one single reference to that one Sideshow Bob line about using TV in order to decry at 0 stars.
Yeah, and it would have been the perfect. I mean, they would have been ripping off The Simpsons, but the show already has a built-in mechanism where Kuzco just pauses the action and shows up on screen. So they could have had him just say, by the way, we're aware of the irony of appearing on TV in order to decry it, so don't bother pointing that out.
I mean, they did have a joke that reminded me a lot of the "We need more Bort license plates" with the
they pretty much ripped that off, but they didn't go far enough with it. They didn't take it to, no, my son is also named Krunk.
Are you talking to me?
But guys,
and he would also be voiced by Patrick Warburton, obviously.
Okay, what'd you say?
What if everybody hated Kronk? Well, that would
evil Kronk.
What if everybody hated Kronk?
Isn't there a Disney? There's going to be a Disney Plus special about that coming out.
Well, I'm just wondering why they haven't turned the Kronk and Kuzco variety show into a real spinoff. Get on that. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
You know what? Justice for Howdy Cronky. That show was unfairly canceled. It was rigged. Bring it back, you cowards.
You guys got to cover all these shows from this episode on Channel KRT. You realize that, right?
Yes,
yeah,
we do.
We'll devote a 10-day series to that too. Why not?
It's gonna end. There's gonna be like a Kuzco version of UHF, and then like Kronk is gonna become the version of Stanley Spadowski, and that.
That is kind of what that was, wasn't it?
You just found the llama in the oatmeal.
Well, you go. My spinach puffs, please don't take it away from me. It's my life. I don't know.
We got it all on UH Kronk.
Everybody loves Kronk.
You
And
know,
Kuzco goes, I don't.
Wheel of steak cut in the shape of a fish.
this episode is already starting off to a sane start, as you
Everybody
can
who
see.
matters loves
Yay!
Kronk.
This show has no host. Micah doesn't exist.
Wait a minute, I don't either. Bye.
Show starring nobody.
Very
So
zen.
the first segment is called Picture This, and my brain is all. I should probably look at one of these notes. It's about a yearbook photo, and the premise on the Disney Plus description is very misleading because it basically tells you what happens in the first scene that has nothing to really do with the actual plot of the episode.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of de rigueur, isn't it? Like they always set up the beginning of an episode's premise. They don't tell you the whole plot in the description. I
guess so. Yeah, it's like.
No, oh, sorry, good.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I forgot to screen cap it, so I couldn't send it in the chat. But when I first opened the episode, it accidentally got stuck on the TVG warning a bunch of times. So I was just like, great, Kuzco's been taken over by the TVG rating. It's like that one Jenny Nicholson tweet where she says she kept getting the drug warning on the Return of Jafar.
You got the TVGBs.
Basically,
TVG.
The episode is it's the yearbook photo, and Kuzco is super duper like into getting a good photo because of course he is. And Melina chews him out about it. I'm going through really fast. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, Micah, I don't believe I've ever actually. I know I've been on this podcast before, but never to actually talk about an episode. So I'd like to talk about my general thoughts on this series, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Now, I've been obviously a huge fan of Emperor's New Groove ever since I first saw it in theaters. I did one of my longest episodes of my podcast about it, but I never watched Emperor's New School when it was initially on the air. I think I heard that it was happening, or I caught a few minutes of it while I was channel surfing one day, and I thought, they made an Emperor's New Groove series. I'm glad that movie's finally getting its due, but this was long after the point where I was watching the Disney Channel regularly, so I never actually watched the series. Then last summer, when my podcast was on hiatus and I was doing a live tweet every week, one week I covered the Easmopolis episode, and that was my first time watching a whole episode, and if you remember, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Now it's possible. It's possible that just because it's a really fast-paced show, maybe it was too fast-paced for me to really do it justice in a live tweet. Because when you're live tweeting, you're trying to watch and type and think of what you're going to say at the same time.
Yeah.
So I feel like I missed a lot of crucial action, and I didn't properly judge it, but. At the time, I honestly just didn't think it was that funny. I didn't think it went far enough to achieve the hilarious heights of the movie. I didn't think it was worthy of the movie. I was kind of disappointed. This episode, I liked a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this isn't my podcast or live tweet or anything, but I would give this a Disney Plus if it was for my show.
Well, that makes me feel really good.
Yeah, the jokes were funnier. The pacing was better. Still not as good as the movie, but what is?
A second.
The stories are more coherent. They're more imaginative.
It feels more like a TV show than Easmopolis does, to be honest.
Yeah, if the 2 half-hour episodes I've seen so far are any indication, this is a show that got better in season 2.
Yeah.
As a lot of shows, especially animated shows, do.
I believe we talked about this in our episode that we did on
Channel KRT
about this show, but I noticed that originally the show in its first season was doing a lot of retreads from the same jokes of the movie.
And they do that still.
And there's a little in that there's a little of that in this as well.
Yeah. It feels different. Like it's more like they have more other things in addition to that, whereas the first season is very much remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this.
I think it's because in particular they were still trying to figure out, okay, how do we expand on the lore? So I was definitely seeing this when I was comparing the season 1 episode I reviewed on this podcast versus the season 2 episode we reviewed on our podcast. I definitely think that there was a bit more, I feel like as time went on, they kind of started leaning more into, okay, what can we do in exploring the entire world of Emperor's New Groove beyond just the comedy aspect? Like, let's figure out the entire mythology of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when it first aired, and just learning of its existence. One of my first thoughts on it was, they gave Kuzco a girlfriend. That's weak. I mean, in hindsight, it's like, what else could they have done? They needed another girl character on the show because otherwise all you got is Yzma and Chicha. But it's like, I don't know. One of the things I really liked about Emperor's New Groove was it was one of the few Disney animated movies that didn't feel the need to have a love interest.
Worked
and it really worked there. But for a TV show, you need, the movie had 4, if we're being generous, 5 main characters, and you kind of need more than that for a TV show to work. Otherwise, you end up adding Elmira in the 4th season or something. But anyway. But talking about how the humor on this show sometimes seemed compromised. To me, this episode just had a waste of a cold open. Like, okay, there's a lot you could do with Kuzco still putting his face on. Now it's finally my turn to be in a cold open.
That opening pisses me off.
Yeah, it's like maybe... And I feel like it might have been a time constraint. Like maybe they didn't have time for a longer opening, but it's like there's so much more you could have done with that. Maybe she wants to use the time to show off a weird hidden talent that she never gets to show off otherwise. Maybe she's built up this moment in her mind so much, and now that it's happening, she just awkwardly pauses and doesn't know what to say. Or maybe Kuzco's delayed by something weirder than makeup. Maybe he's caught in a bear trap or eaten by a snake or some shit, but he still struggles to make it on screen in enough time to steal her thunder.
It reminded me of... Oh, sorry.
It just feels like the writing staff of the movie would have brainstormed all sorts of weird shit to put in that moment and then gone with the funniest idea. And instead here, they just go with the most basic possible version of the joke and call it a day.
It reminded me a lot of that... Excuse me. It reminded me a lot of Tina Fey in Muppets Most Wanted when she keeps trying to sing throughout the movie, even though she does sing, and then suddenly during the credits they're like, "All right, it's your verse," and then it cuts the credits.
Sorry, my ride's here. That's what I say whenever there's a siren outside my window.
Ah, dang it! They caught up to me.
There's a siren outside. Do you live by the ocean?
Sure. Why not?
Oh God, it's Dr. Vile. He's secretly using a siren call to.
So yeah, I could honestly do without the openings to these episodes. I don't think they ever have added anything to the plot or anything. So, I mean, in the first season, they were literally just Kuzco saying, "Aren't you glad to be watching a show about me?" over and over again.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there was a bit of a... I don't know how to describe it, but definitely during this period of Disney Channel shows in particular, they kind of struggled with how creative to get with openings. So, they kind of...
I mean, I'm not going to overanalyze it or anything, but also, I do agree with you guys. We could definitely do without it. The only reason it exists is just so they can get to the 22-minute mark, you know?
Yeah,
but they could use that time to add jokes to the body of the episode, you know?
Or at least hint into what's going to happen in the episode.
Right.
They do sometimes, but they didn't do in this one.
Yeah, and also I gotta say that in season 2 the animation got a lot better and the character designs as well. Like they're not perfect. Obviously, nothing can compare to the movie, but they do look pretty good for the most part. That said, there was one character in particular. There was this tall guy in a red robe that I kept thinking was from Dave the Barbarian.
Yeah, I could see that. The shows have similar enough styles that there could be some crossover.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was a crossover though.
Oh man, I'm amazed this wasn't one of the shows that crossed over with Lilo and Stitch because that show crossed over with everything. So
yeah, Lilo and Stitch ended the same year that this had begun, but not at this. But it was still going on when the show began. So maybe they just didn't want to figure out the time travel mechanics that they'd have to do. Or
they could do it with Reese.
Well, they could have been.
Well, they could. I mean, the beauty part of Lilo and Stitch is they could add an experiment who could do anything. So just get a time traveling experiment.
Yeah, there's been time travel episodes, so it's not like it's forbidden.
I mean, there is an episode of Lilo and Stitch that literally has a crab experiment. So I don't know. Maybe that'll be Agatha Lyle's guest choice or something. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? They did do... Lilo and Stitch did do a time travel episode.
Yeah.
But it was with a time traveling surfboard. So they had their
chance. Lilo and Stitch used to be my hesitation.
And yet it's still better than Unidentified Flying Oddball.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's not very hard.
Sorry.
The basic premise is Melina gets a photo taken, but Kuzco's getting his hair dried. I love how they take the pictures in this.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah, that flash gag was pure Flintstones.
It's a very Flintstones show. Flintstones, but with llamas instead of rocks, basically.
Right. Sorry, before we get into the weeds on this, I know I said this in the live tweets. Why didn't they just use Perfect World as the theme song?
I like the theme song, but
I rewrote it.
I just feel
for the show what it was doing.
Right. I just feel like, you've already got a perfect Kuzco theme song. Perfect. Why are you messing with perfection? Like the Timon and Pumbaa series didn't fuck with their. Sorry,
I don't know.
Can I swear on this show? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, sure. They didn't fuck with perfection. They just Timon and Pumbaa series just used Hakuna Matata again. Yeah. The Aladdin series just used Arabian Nights. Yeah, maybe they just didn't want to pay Sting royalties or something.
Yeah, maybe he was pissed about it because he was still mad about how Emperor of the Sun fell out. So I don't know.
Kingdom of the Sun, yeah.
Kingdom of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun is a Spielberg movie.
Right.
I was literally on an episode for Kingdom of the Sun.
Yeah, you were.
Technically,
about the Sweatbox episode.
It's been a long year.
So apparently, they used. Oh, sorry.
No. Go on.
They used this primitive way to take pictures where Kronk has a window shade and just flashes it while the guy paints them. But apparently, they have hair dryers.
Yeah, and intercoms. Yeah. But no cameras.
And they do
it's cartoon logic. It does nothing matters.
Also, they're able to make TVs with actual working sound, which I'm jumping ahead, but
yeah.
Also, can we talk about that nightmarish ass intercom that had Yzma's face on it? That was creepy as hell, and I loved it.
And she pulls that ought to hold the little bastards type joke too. That got a laugh out of me.
Yeah. Right.
And then, okay, good.
No, go on.
I forgot you go on.
So, was Kuzco's doodles a regular thing on this show?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, was it did they shoehorn it into every episode, or just?
There's a few episodes that don't have it in it.
Okay, just
the ones we did.
Needed.
Yeah, then they also included Melina's doodles,
which are better.
Yeah, that was in the episode we talked about. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
I don't want to see Kuzco's doodle.
Oh my!
And I noticed they dropped the thread of every episode. Kuzco's got to turn into an animal of some sort.
Yeah,
which
that was one thing.
I think was a smart move because that often bogged down the episode. It's like, why is Kuzco suddenly a flabbity blue?
Going back to Lilo and Stitch real quick.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry. Going back to Lilo and Stitch real quick. At least at least the premise of the show adopting the catching experiments every episode thing works in that you can have something new in each episode and it'll add something to the show.
Yeah.
If Kuzco just did the same thing every episode, it would just get so stale so fast.
Well, yeah, especially for an Emperor's New Groove show, which constantly surprised you. I will say the Lilo and it was a solid enough premise for a show. It was kind of a Pokemon ripoff, though. They literally gotta catch them all. So
I actually never really thought of it that way. Wow.
Yeah.
And of course,
what are you gonna do?
An episode.
Yeah. The premise. I already started to. Oh, go on.
No. Micah, you're the host. Go on.
Okay. So Melina's getting her photo taken, but Kuzco is I can't talk sometimes. Getting his hair dried, and it ends up causing Melina's face to be distorted while the picture's being taken. So the picture comes out terrible, and Melina, her facade basically cracks, and now she's determined to destroy all of the yearbook photos. That's the basic setup of the episode.
See, this is what Governor Ralph Northam should have done. This would have saved him a lot of grief, but then all the voice actors in the show are kind of doing brownface, so
yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I did love that Pacha was like, thanks for the picture, Melina. It's a great scarecrow, and
voiced by John Goodman, thank God.
Yes, they finally got John Goodman. I guess they got a budget increase this season.
Also, something Bo Burnham joke here.
They got a budget to give him at least 3 or 4 lines worth of dialogue.
Well, he was just in an episode.
Well, I'm sure they had him in the studio for just one day to record the whole season.
He was just in an episode before this that was literally the whole premise was him and Kuzco. So
yeah, I do kind of love that Kronk is just chilling with Kuzco despite everything. He's just like, you know what? I just love that he's just true neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works with the enemy, but he's still pals with the Emperor and gets into shenanigans with him all the time.
Which, by the way, in the second segment, like, Yzma reveals herself to Kronk that she is Principal Amzi. Now, how long had she been Principal Amzi at this point?
Since the start of the series.
So since the first episode of the first season.
Yeah.
Okay, and only in season 2, episode 5, is she letting Kronk in on it?
Oh no, she lets Kronk in on not every episode, but like more, like it's a running gag.
So the gag is that Kronk is too stupid. The
last like or next to last episode, he reveals that like after the previous 5 episodes where he was just pretending about that point.
Okay.
To fuck with you.
Yeah, Kronk has the memory of Dory, basically.
Yeah. Well, he is like a giant dog, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have expected
Principal Amzi. Oh, Kit, go ahead.
I have expected this was going to be a time travel episode. It's kind of one because it's a time capsule. So
yeah, I forgot to bring that up. The yearbook's being put in a time capsule, which is
now see when I think time capsule, what it reminds me of is the Nickelodeon time capsule, which I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Well, okay, you guys must have seen YouTube footage of this because I'm pretty sure you're too young to remember it firsthand. I'm old enough to remember when this was constantly being advertised on Nickelodeon in 1992. It was a big damn deal. They promoted it at like every commercial break that they were going to bury this 1992 era time capsule in front of Nickelodeon Studios at Universal, Florida, and it was not to be dug up and opened until April 30th, 2042. Which you can tell it was the 90s because they were still calling it 2042 as opposed to now where just say 20, just say 20. You know, that was a detail, by the way, about Back to the Future Part 2. You notice in that first scene after the credits, Doc, who has spent time in the 21st century, calls it 2015, and Marty still calls it 2015. That was well observed on Zemeckis and Gale's part. That people who lived in the 21st century would eventually get tired of saying 2000 and just say 20.
The year 2000.
Yeah, but anyway, now at this point, it's extremely optimistic. Well, it's extremely optimistic that we'll even get to 2042. And as if to illustrate my point, Nickelodeon Studios closed in 2005. And I did some research on what happened to the capsule. So Nickelodeon Studios closed in 2005. It was converted into a permanent venue for the Blue Man Group. During that renovation, the time capsule was dug up and reburied at the Nickelodeon Suites Resort in Orlando. But then that closed in 2016, and then it was dug up again, and it's been reburied at Nickelodeon Animation Studio in Burbank, where it's still buried to this day. And they're still planning to dig it up in 2042. So I guess we'll see.
By that time, the capsule's just going to be like filled to the brim with all sorts of dirt and probably bugs and shit. Because of how many times been moved.
I mean, most of the shit that they buried is completely worthless today. It's just like VHS tapes of Home Alone and shit. You know?
By the time we get to 2042, all of us are going to be pushing 50. Tony's going to be a bit older.
Yep.
I'm going to be almost 60.
We're going to be
pushing 50, and we're going to be screaming about the shows that our kids are watching.
If they included VHS tapes, those are not going to be useful now. That's for sure.
I don't know, man. Retro tech might make a return. I mean, it's within driving distance of me now. Theoretically, I could just go to Burbank with a shovel and pull a fucking Trump Hollywood star jackhammer thing. I don't know.
Okay, but can you?
I can, and yet I shan't.
Oh.
So the episode basically sort of becomes like a mini adventure type story.
Right.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Complete with the mine carts from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom,
and the low hanging signs, which are
right.
Temple of Doom, but I like that gag.
Now, considering how derivative this show often got of its movie, and considering how derivative most Disney shows based on movies always were, kudos on this episode for having the restraint not to lazily call back to "Don't tell me we're about to go over a huge lava fall."
Yeah,
boiling lava at the bottom, most likely. Bring it on.
Yeah, they. One thing I did kind of love was the future joke where she thinks that everybody's just going to be utterly obsessed with her image. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess she did predict how people like meme the absolutely living shit out of like fossils and prehistoric history and make
right.
What I loved about the time capsule gags with the future, quote unquote, is that when Melina's thinking of the future, everybody is still dressed like the Mayans, but it's more kind of futuristic.
She
lampooning the idea. Oh, Tony, go ahead.
She didn't see colonialism coming.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Yeah. Like, I like that it was kind of lampooning that no matter what happens, everybody's idea of the future is going to be completely wrong.
It's going to be filtered through the present, yeah.
I remember everybody kept getting on Robert Zemeckis' case, like, where's the hoverboards? It's like, motherfucker, you really think I was going to... Well, he did predict one thing.
He meant it as a joke. That was the whole point.
Is it set in our future? It was set in the future of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a different universe, you see.
I did really like that Melina was able to have more of her own stories this season in particular. Yeah. Like, they got rid of the whole Kuzco kind of being incel light towards her. Like, I enjoyed that they kind of gave her more to do, and I think that in particular that was definitely likely made. I don't really agree that she was a sexist character to begin with, but this season definitely gave her more to do. So
I want to comment on the wood chipper gag where Kronk, under one condition, I get to use the chipper for 5 minutes. Has anyone seen Steve Buscemi? and then he fucking chips up the cardboard standee of Yzma's New Groove.
Yeah.
Which what's Yzma's New Groove? It's better if you don't know.
I can't help but feel like that was throwing a bit of shade on Kronk's New Groove, like, and how mediocre that was. Like,
let's be honest. If Kronk's New Groove were successful, they would have done that next.
They would have done Yzma's New Groove. They would have done Dory's New Groove.
There were rumors they were going to do Yzma's Old Groove at one point.
Yzma's Old Groove, of course.
Okay.
They got to do the rule of thirds and flip the distinction. But yeah, and Kuzco gets a walking stick.
I was amazed they didn't make a Theodore Roosevelt joke with that, because that felt like a joke they would have made, but
also, I loved the joke with Melina as the yearbook inspector.
Yeah, she turns into Rosenthal.
Wallet inspector.
You dropped your mustache and harpoon, Mr. Inspector.
And then they kind of... One joke I really loved was also when they get inside the temple and then Kronk is just trying to be like, okay, we got to figure out this entire puzzle. Then Kuzco's just like, yeah, this went on for 2 hours.
Well, Kronk basically ripping off Wallace Shawn's Battle of Wits scene in The Princess Bride. Like, I can clearly not choose the wine glass in front of me.
That's what I love about this show. Is that... I think what I really love about this show is that the writing is not lazy at all. They are not afraid to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, and I commend them for it.
This turned into basically a Sideshow Bob Rake gag, where it goes. It's funnier. The longer it goes, the funnier it gets, and until you cap it off with, this went on for another 2 hours. Let's just fast forward. And I got to say, Patrick Warburton's line reading on "Touche, Mr. Temple," that was priceless.
Patrick Warburton.
On a side note,
read a phone book.
I also kind of love when they're going through like the roller coaster like simulator, and that's basically like a roller coaster, and I just kept thinking of the verse in Constipated. It's like they're gonna get their heads chopped off.
Escape from Tomorrow. I envy you.
I mean, Escape from Vault tomorrow.
Don't give me any ideas.
Oh God, Escape from Tomorrow did rip off Weird Al after all. So
yeah, that's true. One thing I notice about JP Manu's, am I pronouncing that right? JP Manu.
JP Manu. Yeah.
JP Manu. One thing I notice about JP Manu's Kuzco voice is he's so much faster than David Spade ever was. Like he subscribes.
Really? Yeah.
He subscribes to the comedy theory that speed equals funny. And honestly, more often than not, he's right. A lot of times in comedy, you can make a funny line funnier. Sometimes you can make an unfunny line funny just by saying it really fast. Yeah. And that's not really David Spade's style. It's one of the big areas where they differ. But it works really well for a fast-paced show like this, where you gotta get a lot of gags in as quickly as possible.
He had a similar style when he was the principal on Phil of the Future, this very kind of snarkier style, I remember.
Oh, yeah. And he also did double duty as the caveman on that show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, well, I want to know is where's the caveman?
Also, I love that this show, it feels like this franchise has made more theme park jokes than there's actually been presence in the theme parks for the franchise.
Definitely. Like the Krunk mug,
Yeah.
Could have just crossed out the extra O.
Utopia.
They bring I like that they bring that back with like
another fucking siren. My God.
This time it was Dr. Carnage. Boy.
In the end, the temple there's a voice in the temple, which is a British dude because why not?
It's why am I blanking on his name? The guy who Jeff Glenn Bennett. It was clearly his voice. Doing kind of his same David Tomlinson impression that he did when he dubbed the real deal in the Bedknobs and Broomstick Special Edition.
I don't know why, but whenever I hear Jeff Bennett's voice, go ahead.
He gives them a riddle about if a llama is running in second place.
Right.
Passes. I'm gonna butcher this.
If a llama's running a marathon and the llama passes the second place llama, what place is that llama in? And it's supposed to be a mind puzzle where your first instinct is to say, well, he's in first place, but no, he's passing the second, so now he's in second. That's
And then
but of course the real answer is you can't get a llama to run a marathon in the first place. So
they're too stubborn. And Kronk gets it. The first one to get that.
Right.
Yeah, real quick, I was gonna say about Jeff Bennett, the role, I don't know why, but whenever I hear him play a different character, I can't not think of him as the dad from Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And then also I kind of love that once they just decide, fuck it, it'll be the future's problem and just give the fuck up on finding it. It turns out in the future they're all just like, holy crap, we fucking love Melita. Like, that definitely feels more like the future, to be honest. Like, people would just live for things like that.
Yeah. Especially in the age of the internet and stuff.
Definitely. You just know that, there's people. Although probably, I guess that's optimistic that they're teaching the entire history of Kuzcotopia and such because, there's colonization to worry about and critical race theory.
I mean, we don't know anything about fixating on weird ephemera from the past or anything like that. None of us do that ever.
No.
Would Kuzco race theory be too far?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
You're making kids see themselves as inferior to Kuzco. Yeah, you can't do that. Can't ever make our kids not feel supreme. Anyway.
So basically they end up not getting the picture. Melina saves her friends who are about to be crushed by a door. Like, oh, thing on Wednesday. And
whose dog is barking?
Oh, that's mine. I'm sorry.
Okay. Right.
Sorry, I thought there was someone outside.
Yeah, I have some noisy dogs. Well, one of them in particular is not. I think they're hungry or something because they're going to want to eat soon. I guess they're going to take care of that.
Okay, this has nothing to do with anything, but a while back there was a coyote at my apartment complex. So
what?
Yeah, there was a coyote just wandering around because of all the fires that were going on, I guess.
Oh,
so.
Jesus!
Was you looking for a road runner?
So I kept telling,
little buddy, you'll be okay.
Come on, buddy. It's my best friend now.
So then, like, Melina is all like, "Oh my God, I just risked my friend's life for a picture," and Peter's like, "Yeah, even I think that's selfish."
Shut the fuck up, Kuzco.
Whackity schmackity, don't.
And then they show the future where we already discussed it. So
Yeah,
that's the first segment of the episode.
I can't wait to talk about the second segment because of the 37 chinchillas joke.
Yeah, so this is where that comes from, because I know you've shared that with us before.
Yeah.
The one thing I've noticed about the Emperor's New School is that there's jokes for everything that they've talked about on Escape from Walt Disney. What's up with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's my whole.
It's like that thing that Tyler made. Well, actually, no. It's like the SpongeBob as every single show, or Simpsons every single Marvel movie or something.
Right. This episode was kind of a mini UHF, really, where they're just making fun of every genre of TV that would have been popular at the time.
But with the premise is different, but it's still a bunch of TV shows. Just instead of the TV is introduced to the kingdom, it's Kuzco trying to test out the show going into other genres, basically.
Right.
Every TV television animation series has done this at some point, I feel like. Has done a Gravity Falls had the Access Television short. Phineas and Ferb, as Kit and Tyler will know.
We reviewed that. So.
Yeah, we did.
Holy guacamole, you sure are a handful.
Songs for Fire.
The TV or thingy viewer, as they call it.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed
as Candy Milo, as the teacher says,
follows me. By the way, I still can't believe that.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
she follows me too.
Surreal.
Woo, that's awesome.
Yeah,
follows me.
She tries to follow back, from my understanding in general.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll have to. One thing I noticed about the technology and how the TVs seem to look at this episode and how the technology kind of overall looks, it reminded me a lot of The Incredibles, that kind of past and future setting. Yeah, kind of the whole Metropolis setting, I guess. So ties back to Yzmapolis.
my Metropolis.
Yzmopolis, do 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 do. Yzmopolis,
do 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 do.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm done. You can go on.
Oh,
when Yzma says "goggle me," I wanted to say okay, but I'm turning on Safe Search.
Eartha Kitt would have loved that joke.
Oh, typo.
I like that they don't go to the secret lab, but she still just has her goggles around to slap on whenever she has an idea.
I just love that she has all these silhouette styles for her ideas. I never get tired of that gag for some reason.
Yeah, the put that flea in a box graphics from the movie. Did they just show up every time she puts on the goggles in the show?
Every time.
How that works? Like, are the graphics in the goggles? Is that what she's seeing?
No one knows.
They're gonna do an episode where she gets the goggles glued onto her face, and everything she sees, everything is just that, but in the same art style as the flea in the box gag.
Right.
In one episode, she teams up with Kuzco, and he says red and black's been done, so instead she does turquoise on black.
Yeah.
But it's otherwise the same.
Also, it was really distracting to me that the teacher in this episode kind of looked very similar to the teacher from Recess, just maybe more excitable.
Yeah.
For the most part, like I said, the animation and the character designs got a lot better this season. I did notice that there were some designs that still looked kind of off-putting while they were all sitting in the classroom, and I noticed, I forgot to mention this in the first episode, but Poncho looked kind of off. He he looked more like how Kuzco would probably doodle him, so.
Yeah.
Why was Kuzco an 80s rapper?
Why wasn't Kuzco an 80s rapper?
Fire ants!
Why did that happen? Why did any of this happen? Hepcat Kuzco.
Oh God.
Well, he's the Hepcat. One of the lyrics that's not in the actual movie, but is on the soundtrack, is he's the Hepcat in The Emperor's New Clothes. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
There's a lot. I'm noticing now. There's a lot of facial hair jokes in this episode.
Also, again. Also, Kuzco's gonna end up on train records.
Yes.
Anyway, guys.
Go ahead.
No, I want to briefly comment on Incan Idol.
Okay.
Yeah, talk about dated jokes, but then again, maybe Disney making fun of their own product was.
Well, of course. It wasn't Disney's product yet at the time.
Oh, okay.
It was a Fox show. I don't even know if it had opened at Hollywood Studios in Florida yet.
I don't think till a couple years after the
was
show
like
ended.
2 years before that.
School.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, I get why they made Kronk the Simon, just because that's the most recognizable of the three judges. But Kronk doesn't pull off mean very well. Yeah, I feel like to really parody Simon Cowell, you got to be more vicious.
Yeah,
it really doesn't. But they paid the likenesses to Paula Abdul and Randy Jackson, and they're gonna use them. Damn it!
And also, I fucking love that he does a cooking show, and then I'm just like, well, it's better than Cat in the Hat 2003.
Oh no,
llama chops, you monster!
You're making a cupcake. You can make everything into a spinach puff. I don't know.
And I love the Fleischer Studios homage. That was
great. Yeah, that was.
Have no fear, Kronk is here.
and then Kronk dresses as Cowboy Curtis from Pee Wee's Playhouse, and they call back to the spinach puffs from the movie.
Yeah. I'm so glad. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's just like I'm hitting you with a barrage of TV references, basically.
I'm so glad if they were trying to go for a too much TV is bad message, they didn't hammer it in. They even kind of were like, yeah, moderation's fine, whatever. They didn't go all, how did you prefer TV over anything else? And even when Kuzco's trying to break, sorry.
How dare you watch TV, says the TV show.
Oh God, the Incredibles comparison goes deeper. Screensaver is behind this.
Screenslaver! Instead of starting your own school, you watch the Emperor's New School.
Instead of actually
buying 36 chinchillas, you watch Kronk talk about 36 chinchillas.
Kuzco does a freeze frame bit where he goes on a whole tangent about how we live in a society. It's nothing.
We live in a sobriety. I don't know.
Also,
I need to shout out the "Everybody Loves Kronk" joke where they call out the trope of having 2 dates to the prom.
Yeah,
there was something I tweeted recently, but I deleted it. Because I've been watching a lot of sitcoms lately, and I noticed that. One thing I noted that is a lot of love triangle plots could easily be solved if the characters just embraced polyamory.
Yeah. I mean, Tony and I do it, so
yeah. Why not? Well, I guess we're making that public now. Cool. But yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, when Guaca is Kuzco's late night talk show sidekick, he says "Hey now" at one point, which I think is a reference to Jeffrey Tambor's character on Larry Sanders' show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kronk does, and Kuzco tries to both sides the issue. He says, "Yeah, we were both being arrogant," and Kronk's like, "No, that's just you."
Kronk calls him out on it.
Yeah.
And look, this is as close to an apology you're gonna get.
Right.
Also, they basically just rip off the All My Circuits gags from Futurama and just go for a soap opera. And it's
I can't identify this woman. This is my sister.
Also, when Kuzco is like, when they need to make their 1 millionth Kuzcoin, I was like, better Kuzcoin than Bitcoin. Dated references.
And I love that Kronk has apparently pitched his chinchillas idea to Kuzco at some point as well. like it's just in his arsenal. He's just got that idea for whatever he might need a chinchilla.
I hate to think about it, but I'm just too hung up on the idea of Kuzco hawking the equivalent of NFTs in his universe.
Oh God.
That would be a horrible idea, but I would love to see it.
You can use currency using pictures of my face.
That's what it would be, right?
It's like that Gravity Falls gag where Mabel sells cat pictures for $10.
So like I said, I love the Kuzco and Kronk variety show. And that's what causes everyone to destroy their TVs, which I feel like was kind of an SCTV reference, how that show opened with everyone throwing their TVs out the window. Yeah. These guys really jumped a llama. And they reference Laugh-In, and and the two old men in the village have officially become Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, they were Statler and Waldorf a few episodes ago. Like there was a popularity contest, and they were in the balcony. And one of them said, "I like the end," and the other one said, "Why?" And then he said, "Because it was the end."
And I love it when they're throwing the TV off that giant cliff. Like, the show has just evolved literally to Kuzco and Kronk just driving around in little cars.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
Like, that's all it is. Like, that's supposed to be entertainment.
I don't know why, but
still watch that. Oh my.
It reminded me so much of Showbiz Bugs that I just half expected Kuzco just blowing himself up. Yeah. I know, but I can only do it once.
And they call back to the trampoline with
That was probably one of my least favorite callbacks, just because they kind of made it a little obvious. But I did kind of chuckle at like, I'm so happy for you.
You missed my trampoline.
Yeah, but they redeem themselves by having a terrific ending where Kuzco says, "Yeah, nowadays people just want formulaic plots and tacked on happy endings. Guess what, guys? We just won Battle of the Bands!" And it freezes in place while they're all jumping.
That was fucking great.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the Yzma subplot in this.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole premise, the whole reason they all have TVs now is because Yzma has installed them in everyone's home to distract them so she can go to the palace and be interviewed for Empress magazine. And at one point, she's in like this gallery area where there's all these pictures of Kuzco, and the interviewer asks, "Why are all these pictures on your wall?" And she says, "He's my mailman." He's like, "You have thousands of pictures of mailmen on your wall?"
He's a really good mailman.
For some reason, I really love that joke.
I mean, it did kind of imply, like, okay, she's not fucking Kuzco, is she?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
Fucking the mailman. It's like that's probably what the interviewer would have suspected. Like, why else would you be that obsessed with your mailman? Seriously.
Because I'm obsessed with destroying him. I throw darts at them all.
By the way, were some of those pictures of Kuzco direct screen caps from the movie?
They were.
I think so, yeah.
Looked like it, yeah. Especially the smug smirk of theme song guy.
Yeah.
That shot.
The very memeable face.
and then of course we got the cold tag at the end where Kronk and Kuzco are staring at us. Oh my God!
We're just living in their world
the
now.
TV's talking to me again. Ah!
She can talk to me all the time. They'll be fine.
Okay.
It's gonna turn into a Cusco and Kronk creepypasta. They're just gonna be staring at us.
Stop putting me on the spot like this. I don't like confrontation.
The evil emperor's new school will be like, don't spell my name again. It's an imperfect world.
Satan, Satan, Satan. Hail Satan.
Sorry, I have to wake myself up sometimes.
Nah, you're good.
So that was basically I think we discussed everything. Does anyone have anything they want to add about either of these episodes?
No, I think overall it was a solid episode. I think I like the one that we did for our podcast a little more, but I still think this was a solid episode, and I'd rank it second behind. So this was a good episode.
Yeah, this was.
Go ahead.
No, like I said, this was good. Better than Easemopolis. I gave Easemopolis Disney minus. I would give this a Disney plus. This was solid. The show got better in season 2.
Yes.
Keep the tapes.
Keep the tapes for me as well. I loved this episode, but I loved TV or Not to TV more because you just can't go wrong with Patrick Warburton ever.
Absolutely.
You could give him the worst script imaginable, and as long as he's doing something, I'll watch it. And
they did that. It was
Patrick Warburton.
They did that. It was called The Wild.
Ah, God.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I take that back, but so I like this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe the time has come for the pluggy things.
You can find me over on the usual Mission Breakout, Muppet Vision 3D. You can find me in all the usual websites, various episodes of this show, as well as Escape from Walt Disney, the podcast without a cool acronym. And you can also find me taping 37 chinchillas together.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at TylerFG, Instagram at TylerFG96. Instagram at TylerFG96. As for Channel KRT, the show, you can find us on Twitter at channel_KRT, Channel KRT Podcast, all one word on Instagram. We also have our Patreon and our Discord server and our Facebook group, which you can all find in our link tree in our Twitter bio. And you can also find me on various episodes of this podcast, as well as Escape from Walt Disney.
And Escape from Walt Disney is my show. You can find me on every episode of Escape from Walt Disney, the podcast where we review movies, TV shows, and short films available on Disney Plus, chosen completely at random. And you can find that on wherever podcasts are available, as well as pipedreampodcast.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at Tony Goldmark. You can follow Escape from Walt Disney on Twitter at EFVD Podcast. You can join my Facebook fan group, Some Jerk with a Fan Club. You can watch all 3 seasons of Some Jerk with a Camera on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tony Goldmark. And you can even give me money at patreon.com/Tony Goldmark if you feel so inclined. So, yay.
Yay!
Yay!
And you can find me at Micah Hirsch on Twitter. I also make animated cartoons on YouTube through the channel Fireblast Studios. If you like my work and want to support me, you can pledge to the Fireblast Studios Patreon for early access to videos, behind-the-scenes footage, and more.